Welcome to Realizing Real Estate. Each week we will be issuing a new edition, an interview with an investor, developer, business leader, government official, scholars, and others, all who in some way impact the world of real estate and the quality of your investment. Real estate has many facets. We will explore many of them in these brief podcasts. Every one of our guests will be interviewed in greater depth and length on our weekly radio show, Our House, which is broadcast every Saturday at 9 a.m. on WBN 9:30 a.m. and 98.5 FM HD3 in the Buffalo Niagara Marketplace, but is accessible anywhere in the world on the Odyssey app or at WBN.com. All of Realizing Real Estate podcasts are available at the iTunes Store, and our House radio shows are archived on our blog at huntrealestate.com. Join us every week and give us your feedback and suggestions for future topics, also at huntrealestate.com. Welcome to Realizing Real Estate. I'm Peter Hunt, and today my guest in the studio is Brian Higgins. As you probably can recognize, was a congressman from Western New York for 20 years and now is the president and CEO of Shea's Performing Arts Center. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Peter. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you here. Brian, tell us a little bit about what's going on at Shea's right now. You've got a lot on your plate. I've got the posters up here showing what it will look like, but what's happening?
Vision and execution. We're doing a $5 million reconstruction of Shea 710, formerly the Studio Arena Theater. We're doing that to modernize, but also to pick up additional, about a 30% increase in usable square footage, a spectacular new lounge and cabaret. It's a 551-seat theater. We will be completed with that project in September of this year, a couple of weeks. The debut show will be Dreamgirls, which promises to be a very, very exciting production, and we're just very excited about it. There will be, as I said, a lounge and a cabaret, a patio coming out onto Main Street with an awning and heat lamps, and we'll begin an expansion, an atrium expansion of the historic theater down the street. In November of this year, October, November, will be completed in the first quarter of 2027. It's a $35 million improvement. Very simple, straightforward premise. How do we move our patrons into and throughout the theater in the safest, most efficient, and enjoyable way? It's got exciting new space in the interior and exterior. We'll add 63 new restroom fixtures to the building, 3 high-speed, large-capacity elevators, all of which, again, is intended to mitigate congestion and to just improve the audience experience. We're going outside of our venues to look at high-resolution, large digital display boards, probably 8 or 9 of them, on our buildings to light up the theater district. Theater is about the light and the night. And we're also looking at public art installations where the Alleyway Theater, it's a public right-of-way owned by the city of Buffalo, kind of sketchy. You'd be reticent to use it perhaps at night. We're going to replace that we're going to light it up with a lit art installation, clean it up, and enhance it for aesthetic purposes, but also for functional purposes as well. And we're looking at mural paintings across the street at the Michael Bennett Way, which connects Washington Street with Main Street. So doing improvements to our buildings, but taking on, I call it parental responsibility to the entirety of the theater district as, the largest musical theater and theater complex. We have 3 complexes. One is a historic theater. Shea called that the Wonder Theater, Shea Smith, and Shea 710. And there are great theaters and entertainment venues, and we want to help them as much as we can as well.
You've mentioned in the past the sheer size of Shea's relative to other theaters. Elaborate on that for a second.
Yeah, Shea's is the largest theater in New York State, including larger than all of the 41 Broadway theaters in New York. The average capacity of those venues on Broadway is 100 and is, why am I stumbling on that?
Well,
1,200, I'm sorry. The average capacity of the 41 Broadway venues is 1,200. We are 3,019. And the reason that's important is, first of all, because of the presence of mind of people like Patrick Fagan, who came before me. He did a stage expansion. He added 40% to the depth of the stage, which made Shea's one of the most attractive Broadway touring venues in the country, because they now had the capacity to absorb these big productions like Saigon and so.
Let me stop you there for a second, because I was going to ask you how that helps our attractiveness here, not just at Shea's, but makes Buffalo a focal point for bringing the best shows in the country.
They're coming to Buffalo. They're coming to Buffalo because of Shea's. And as I said, Patrick Fagan was a great leader in this. He took on a $14 million expansion of the stage, increased the depth of it by 40%, which now these big Broadway touring productions with all of their stuff can get into and out of Shea's in a very efficient and effective way. The previous design of the stage didn't allow for that. Like when we were kids, you often heard of, the Phantom of the Opera at the Pantages Theater up in Toronto. That's where people were going. We have flipped that. Now all Broadway touring is coming to Buffalo, and in many cases is debuting in Buffalo, because you're a producer and you're looking at the landscape and the venues that are out there. You're looking at Buffalo. It's all about selling seats, quality productions, putting people in those seats, and they're going to look at the 3,000 seats at Shea's and say, we're going to be there, and it's worked very, very well. Additionally, the Shea's audience through generations has been very, very loyal to Shea's. People will say, they'll go down and see Wicked, which will be at Shea's this season, but they really say they're going Shea's. That's
right.
The brand, right?
So take this out a little bit beyond the walls of your institution. Discuss the impact of the investment that you're talking about here that's already underway. What's the impact on the Central Business District, the Theater District, even the residential communities around that, and to paint a vision of what could be?
More people, that pedestrian density that we talked about, we're all economic actors. When we're confident, we move. When we're not, we don't. And giving people the confidence to come to downtown or come back to downtown and recognize that, the new stadium, which is being built with, a couple of $1 billion, half of which is public, you're not going to have development out there. The restaurant and hotel, destination for the Buffalo Bills should be downtown Buffalo. All the infrastructure's there. We are 19 miles from the new stadium, and I followed that. That not even a controversy, but just the evolution of the development around the stadium. I've listened to the public comments. People want sidewalks so they don't have to walk on a snow pile to get to the stadium. They really don't want dense development out there. And I don't think it works. And the design of these stadiums today, whether it's football, baseball, whatever, is to get you in earlier and keep you there later to spend your money. I mean, it makes sense. Sure. I mean, that's not, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just saying that it would be good if the Bills would designate as an organization downtown Buffalo to be its restaurant and hotel hub. That would be significant, I think. So it's to bring people in that are already here, and given the growth, as I mentioned, the Center for an Urban Future, look at the arts and cultural community as an economic growth engine.
Well, it definitely is. There's no question about it. And as we've talked about in the past, the value of real estate immediately around these cultural institutions is by definition higher than other communities, other parts of the community where there is no such attraction. Because if you think about suburban development, and I know you have thought about this a lot, you develop and you develop, keep going farther and farther out, and then either services follow or you got to get in your car and drive. There's no other option. it seems to me that there's a tendency around the country right now that people want to be in what are termed walkable communities. So something like this, do you see this as a contributor to creating a new walkable community in downtown Buffalo?
Without question. And is a demonstration project in a sense, but significant in and of itself. We're focused in on, because it's the theater district, the 600 and 700 block right now. But I think what we do, my hope, will find its way all the way down the Main Street corridor, to Seneca 1, to Canal Side, to the other end, the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. And, momentum doesn't do you any good unless it can be sustained. But it first has to be established, because you can't build on something that's not established. And I think, we need an inflection point in downtown Buffalo. And my hope is that what we're doing in the 600 and 700 block will be a catalyst for that. And people will begin to look anew at what this, public right-of-way is all about, and what it isn't and what it can be. We're going to demonstrate what it can be.
You've talked in the past also about the relationship of the public investment to private investment. Case in point being Canal Side, the fact that there was my numbers might be wrong, but something like $10 million of public investment that yielded to $50 million in private investment. But there's a huge payback, if you want to look at it that way, in terms of private investment afterwards. Do you see something similar here? And if so, what kind of time frame are you looking at? You've got your own time frame for this project. We've got other projects that are going on in downtown Buffalo and all around our community. Do you see it, just elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, from present to 24 months to ignite the momentum. And then the challenge becomes to sustain it and to expand it. And a lot of this is, psychology. The Danny Kahneman he won the Nobel Prize for economics. He wasn't an economist. He was a psychologist. And it's how we feel about our economic future. If we're confident, we move. If we're not, we don't. And I think it's enough of an incentive for public leaders, both public sector and private sector, to put the resources into creating a common vision and an execution plan. And people will get excited about that. If you see a roadway that's all torn up, but there's a sign that shows what that's going to look like at the completion of the project 12 months later, people tolerate the chaos for a little bit. We need to demonstrate to the people of Buffalo and Western New York, because that's our market. The downtown is a place you want to be. And we have to address the issues that stand as an obstacle to that. And I think renewing this 100-year-old building and creating more space in a better experience, people want experiences. So I can't think of a place better than downtown Buffalo. The waterfront, we made major progress, but there is still a long way to go. You just can't stop because somebody doesn't pay attention to it anymore. It's important. What we were able to do with the waterfront is turn the image of Buffalo from an old, declining industrial center to a city of exciting new possibilities. And it's true at the outer harbor, it's true at the inner harbor, but there is still so much more to be done. And I think, there's a tendency for people to want immediate gratification. I get it. I'm impatient too, but I'd rather do something right by doing the design and the execution so that there's not any skepticism. People know this is going to get done. They just know it's going to get done. We're very successful in raising the money that we're going to need. And I think that this can serve as a catalyst, not the only one, but a catalyst for the entirety of the downtown corridor.
Last question. We're in a world right now that where technology and applications like automated intelligence are exploding and changing lots of things in terms of how we're behaving, how we learn stuff, how we communicate, how we do research even. I mean, things have changed so rapidly, and they're changing even more rapidly as we speak. How do you attract young people that are so diverted by these connection tools, phones, laptops, all kinds of means by which they're carrying things around their pocket to connect with the rest of the world. How do we communicate? How do we connect with people like that so that things like you're doing here will be attractive to them, that they feel they just can't turn on their phone and watch Lion King on their phone?
Yeah, our demographic is suburban, older, and white. Mm-hmm. We have to diversify. That's what Dreamgirls is about. It's mostly a cast of color. A lot of students from the Academy of the Visual and Performing Arts. Gifted kids. We're promoting Dreamgirls into communities of color so that they too feel welcomed to come to this production. And it is a first-rate quality production. It's Ansari Saxon, Naila Ansari and Karen Saxon. They're both gifted choreographers, directors, producers, and they're having a ball doing it, and we're co-producing that with them. So I think making Shea's, more looking like the community than, Shea's has traditionally done that. We don't want to lose that. 65% of what we do is Broadway. It's great. It's really good. But I want to bring up the activity at our other venues. It may never be equilibrium, but 60-40, I think that works.
School groups, colleges, how do you drag them into this so that they're part of the act?
We have a very robust arts and education program. Thousands of kids benefit from it every year. And Peter, I'm telling you, watch these kids, and they'll come in for a 2-week camp, theater, right? So I'm a novice. I'm there last year just watching this. They all walk in with their cell phones. They're reticent. They're not communicating with each other. 2 days later, they're up on stage learning how to carry themselves, which by extension is learning to carry themselves through life. They're learning the power of elocution and articulation and
poise.
The cell phones
Talent.
were gone. Nobody took them away from them. They weren't interested in them anymore because when they were up on stage, they were being watched. And when somebody else was up on stage, they were watching and they were learning. And when you look at, you want to teach your kids Marv Levy, make them better versions of themselves on and off the field, introduce them to theater. You want to know the power of empathy, of humility, of situational awareness, of emotional intelligence. Schools don't do that well anymore. When people came to this country 250 years ago, you know what they said, the founding fathers? If we're going to make a democracy of these people and this place, we have to teach moral formation and character building. David Brooks writes about this all the time as an author and as a columnist for the New York Times. People aren't as trusting of each other. 40 years ago, 70% of people said they trust their neighbors. It's down to 30% today and 19% for millennials. And we got to re-engage socially. And, it's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done, but I hope that you're successful, and I certainly hope that other venues like yours are successful. My granddaughter participated in a theater camp in the summer of 2025, and I thought it was transformational for her, and I'm hoping that these kind of things continue. We do have to go. Brian Higgins, President and CEO of Shea's Performing Arts Center, thank you for joining us on Realizing Real Estate. I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners. We'll be back on soon with a new version of Realizing Real Estate. Thank you very much.